The pot roast sits untouched on my plate as mother circles the dining table, topping off water glasses with practiced precision. Sunday dinner at the Phillips household unfolds, with its usual choreography, crystal goblets catching light from the chandelier, the heirloom china gleaming against the dark wooden table that's witnessed 3 decades of family tensions, disguised as togetherness. Father checks his watch. Naomi should be here by now. You know your sister, Mother says, her eyes flicking toward me. Always running on her own schedule. I nod, not trusting my voice. Every Sunday since my promotion, I've shown up for these dinners, hoping something might change. That my parents might finally really see me without comparing me to their perfect younger daughter. The front door swings open, followed by the familiar click of heels on hardwood. Naomi sweeps in, wind-blown and laughing, her entire body projecting the carefree confidence that comes from never facing consequences. Sorry, I'm late. She tosses her purse onto the sideboard, narrowly missing Mother's prized crystal bowl. My stomach tightens when I notice what dangles from her finger. A key ring with a distinctive cobalt leather tag. My key ring. To my car. Father beams. Did the interview go well? Seemed to. Naomi drops into her chair. The manager said I had excellent qualifications. Of course you did, Mother says, serving her a generous portion. We're just glad you had reliable transportation today. The room tilts slightly. I set down my fork with deliberate care, the sterling silver making a soft clink against bone china. Did you take my car without asking me? My voice emerges low and measured, each word carefully placed. Naomi rolls her eyes, twirling the keys before tossing them beside her water glass. Oh, please. It's just sitting in your garage most days anyway. That's not an answer. Father's face hardens. Family helps family, Addison. Naomi needed to make a good impression today. My mind flashes to this morning reaching for my spare keys on the hook by the door, finding the peg empty. I'd assumed I'd misplaced them, never imagining someone would simply take them. You could have asked, I say. Mother's smile tightens. Honestly, darling, it's not as if you were using it. The familiar dismissal stings, but this time, beneath the sting lies something darker, a slow-burning fury I rarely allow myself to feel. 3 months ago, I stood in a boardroom wearing my best charcoal suit, presenting the culmination of 18 months of work. 8 men in similar suits stared back, skepticism gradually giving way to grudging respect as I walked them through the proposal. When the final signature hit the contract $3.5 million, I knew exactly what I would do with my commission. The dealership had called it midnight blue, though under certain light it seemed almost black. Leather seats that smelled like possibility. The salesman's surprise when I paid the down payment without hesitation, without a husband or father beside me to approve the purchase. First thing I've ever owned that wasn't used or discounted. I told Linda over celebratory drinks, showing her pictures of my new sedan. I earned every inch of it. Now Naomi studies her nails, oblivious to what she's taken. Not just a car, the physical proof that I've finally escaped the shadow of family expectations. I've been meaning to ask. Naomi says, cutting into her meat. Could I borrow it again next weekend? There's this networking event in Boulder and… No. The word emerges before I can soften it. Mother's fork pauses midway to her mouth. Addison, don't be selfish. There it is, the familiar pattern. Naomi takes. I sacrifice. My parents referee, always ruling in her favor. You have your own car, I say. That old thing? Come on, I'm trying to make connections here. Father sets down his napkin. Your sister is trying to get her career started. The least you could do is help. My career started with student loans and 2 jobs, without family connections or borrowed luxury. But saying so would only label me bitter, jealous of my sister's effortless charm. The story never changes, only the details. By the way, Naomi adds, spearing a carrot, some idiot in a parking lot scratched the passenger door. Nothing major. My phone buzzes in my pocket, then again, and again. I slip it out, breaking Mother's no phones at dinner rule, and feel my blood freeze. 6 notifications from colleagues. All variations of the same message. Beautiful car. When did your parents buy it? I open Instagram and there it is. Naomi posed beside my midnight blue sedan, manicured hand splayed across the hood, her smile wide and proud. The caption reads, Thanks Mom and Dad for the amazing gift. Blessed new car family support. 23 likes, 4 comments from mutual friends. Posted 2 hours ago. I set my phone on the table, screen up, so they can all see it. The room goes still. We need to talk about boundaries, I say, my voice steady despite the rage building behind my ribs. The time for sacrifice has ended. Father waves his hand dismissively at my phone screen. It's just a social media post, Addison. Don't be so sensitive. She just wants to feel successful like her big sister. Mother chimes in, dabbing her napkin at the corner of her mouth. Is that so terrible? I look at Naomi, waiting. Her shoulders rise and fall in a practiced shrug. I'll delete it if it's that big a deal, she says, not meeting my eyes. But everyone already saw it, so what's the point? The casualness in her voice makes my skin burn. I take a slow breath, keeping my tone even. Show me the scratch. What? On my car, the scratch you mentioned. I want to see it. 2 minutes later, we stand in the driveway. The scratch isn't just a scratch, it's a foot-long scrape with traces of red paint embedded in the midnight blue surface. Not from a parking lot. From a fire hydrant. You sideswiped a fire hydrant. The words taste like metal in my mouth. Were you texting while driving? Naomi's eyes dart toward the house where our parents wait. Does it matter? Insurance will cover it. My insurance. My premiums. Back inside, I scroll through my phone, heart pounding harder with each swipe. Not just one post. 5. Spanning 2 weeks. Naomi at a restaurant valet stand. Naomi at a country club. Naomi showing off her new car to friends outside an upscale bar. My mind flashes back to high school. Me at 17, opening the thin envelope from Stanford. Full academic scholarship. Mom glancing up briefly from preparing Naomi's sweet 16 party. That's nice, honey. Can you hang these streamers? 2 hours later, Dad rolling into the driveway with a red Volkswagen, keys dangling. Happy birthday, princess. Naomi squealing while I taped decorations for a party I wasn't invited to join. College years spent working the campus bookstore mornings, waiting tables, nights. Parents' contribution, $600 per semester for books. Meanwhile, Naomi cycling through 3 different universities, fully funded, before dropping out completely. College isn't for everyone, Mom said, patting Naomi's hand. My sweaters disappearing from my closet. My jewelry borrowed, never returned. My first apartment's spare key suddenly missing after Naomi stopped by to see the place. The pattern stretches back through decades, visible now with painful clarity. I place my phone face up on the table and stand. The dining room falls silent, as I rise to my full height, suddenly aware of how I tower over my seated family. This car, I say, my voice quieter than I expect, represents the first major purchase I made for myself, with money I earned, from a job I've worked 80-hour weeks to excel at. Mother's eyes fill with tears, father's jaw clenches. I paid for my college, I paid for my apartment, I paid for every single thing I own. Each sentence lands like a footstep, advancing slowly across unstable ground. After the Miller contract closed, I chose that car because for once, I wanted something that wasn't secondhand, something that represented what I'd accomplished without anyone's help. Naomi examines her nails, but I catch the flicker of resentment in her eyes. And you took it, without asking, then lied about who bought it. Mother's tears spill over, transforming quickly to indignation. After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us? With accusations and ingratitude? My phone buzzes again. Jessica from accounting. Beautiful car in the post. When did your parents buy it? Must be nice having such generous support. Jessica, who witnessed me stay late every night for 18 months building the Miller proposal. Who brought me coffee during the final presentation. Who celebrated with cheap champagne when the contract finally closed. I think about my boss, Tom, walking me to the parking lot the day after I bought the car. His approving nod as he circled it. You earned every inch of that luxury, Phillips. Nobody handed you anything. At work, respect. Acknowledgement of effort. Recognition of achievement. At home, dismissal. Entitlement. Theft dressed as sharing. I reach for my purse with deliberate calm, slinging it over my shoulder. Don't walk away from this table, young lady. Father's voice carries the authority that once made me freeze. We're not finished discussing this. Actually, we are. I move toward the door. What are you going to do? Call the police on your own sister? Naomi challenges, leaning back in her chair with familiar confidence. The confidence of someone who's never faced consequences. I pause at the threshold, turning to face them one last time. 3 faces, 3 versions of the same expectation that I'll bend, as I always have. No, I say, fingers tight around my keys. I'm going to do something much more effective. The door closes behind me with a soft click, punctuating my final word like a period at the end of a very long sentence. Later that night, my reflection catches in the window as I pace my downtown apartment. 8 steps from wall to wall, turn, repeat. Through the glass, 12 floors below, my midnight blue sedan sits in the parking lot, the scratch on its passenger door, visible even from this height, an ugly gash marring the perfect finish. I stop mid-stride, hands balled into fists at my sides. The memory of Naomi tossing my keys onto the dining table burns fresh in my mind. Her casual disregard, my parents' dismissive defense, a family choreography I've danced to my entire life. My desk stands in stark contrast to my restless movement, meticulously organized, each item in its assigned place. Award plaques line the back edge. Regional sales leader, 3 years running. The framed photo of me shaking hands with the CEO after closing the Westridge account. The crystal paperweight commemorating my 5-year anniversary with the company. Achievements earned through persistence, strategy, and sacrifice. Unlike that car. Unlike anything my sister has ever possessed. I stop at the window, press my fingertips against the cool glass, and stare at the vehicle below. The realization blooms slowly. Then, with sudden clarity, I've been approaching this all wrong. If my family refuses to respect my boundaries, perhaps the solution isn't trying to make them understand. Perhaps the solution is to remove the opportunity entirely. I smile for the first time since that terrible dinner. Monday morning, the office buzzes with the start of week energy I normally find invigorating. Today, each good morning feels like an intrusion as I stride toward my corner office, coffee in hand, briefcase containing the proposal I spent half the night perfecting. Addison. Jessica waves from the break room. That car your parents got for your sister is gorgeous. My husband's been looking at the same model. My smile freezes in place. Thanks. 2 steps later, Mark from accounting. Saw your sister's post. Nice ride. Your folks must be proud of her new job. She hasn't started yet, I say, the words clipped. By the time I reach my office, I've fielded 4 more comments. Each one stokes the ember of rage burning in my chest. I close my door with more force than necessary, the blinds rattling against the glass. My assistant Carl knocks tentatively. You have that budget meeting with Mr. Crawford at 10. He pauses, studies my face. Everything okay? I straighten my shoulders. Schedule an additional 30 minutes. Tell him I have a proposal that will benefit the company. Will do. His expression shifts from concern to curiosity. Anything else? Clear my afternoon, and find out who handles our corporate vehicle fleet. At precisely 10 o'clock, I sit across from Howard Crawford, CFO of Neurotech Solutions. I've spent 3 years earning his respect through consistent results and fiscal responsibility. Today, I'll leverage that capital. I slide the folder across his desk. Before we discuss the quarterly numbers, I'd like to propose a solution to our client transportation costs. His eyebrows rise slightly, but he opens the folder. I've laid out the numbers with precise clarity. Current mileage reimbursement costs for sales directors over the past year, maintenance costs for company-owned vehicles, tax benefits of asset depreciation, client impression value metrics. You're suggesting we add a dedicated executive vehicle? Crawford flips through the pages, his expression thoughtful. For client meetings and corporate events, I keep my voice steady, professional. We currently spend an average of $1,245 monthly on reimbursements for the sales team alone. A dedicated vehicle would reduce that by 30%, while providing consistent branding opportunities. He studies the final page, a photograph of my midnight blue sedan with a mock-up of the company logo subtly positioned on the door. And you happen to know of an available vehicle that meets our specifications. I do. I meet his gaze directly. Mine. Crawford leans back, a smile tugging at his mouth. I wondered when you'd make this kind of move, Phillips. Sir? You've always been strategic. He taps the folder. This actually saves us money in the long run. Smart. Very smart. 2 hours later, I walk out of the legal department, with the preliminary paperwork in hand. My car will become company property by week's end. A fair price, full tax advantages, and most importantly, complete removal from my family's reach. Looks like everything went well, says David Chen, my direct supervisor, catching me in the hallway. Crawford's already approved the expenditure. It makes financial sense for the company. David nods. And gives you some distance from the family situation. My steps falter. You know about that? I saw the posts. His expression remains neutral. Not my business, but if this helps, you have my full support. By Wednesday, the company mechanic has removed the scratch from the passenger door, the expense absorbed as routine maintenance. Carl has rescheduled client meetings to accommodate the transition, and the legal department has drafted the final agreement. I stand in the underground parking garage beside Walter Jeffries, the company attorney, as he reviews the documents. Insurance transfers effective immediately. Walter checks items off his list. Corporate plates will arrive next week. The reserved parking space is already marked. Sure enough, a sign now reads, "Reserved for client relations," in the prime spot near the elevator. The midnight blue sedan sits beneath it, freshly washed and detailed, a small magnetic company logo now adorning both front doors. You're sure about this? Walter asks, handing me the final paper to sign. Once it's company property, you can't just take it back. I'm sure. The pen feels substantial in my hand as I sign my name with a decisive flourish. That evening, Linda arrives at my apartment, balancing a bottle of wine and takeout containers from our favorite Italian restaurant. To corporate assets, she says, raising her glass after I've explained everything. Most creative boundary setting I've ever witnessed. I clink my glass against hers. To problems solved. What will you tell them? She dishes pasta onto our plates, the rich aroma of garlic and basil filling my kitchen. I twirl spaghetti around my fork, considering the truth, that I no longer own the car. And when they realize what you've done, the anger that's fueled me for days settles into something cooler, more permanent. Then they'll learn what happens when they mistake my generosity for weakness. From my dining table, through the window, I can just make out the roof of the sedan in the building's lot below. No longer mine, yet more securely mine than ever before. Sometimes protection requires sacrifice, but for once, I'm not the only one paying the price. On Sunday that week, the late afternoon sun throws long shadows across the driveway as I pull into my parents' house in my old crossover SUV. The vehicle feels comfortably familiar after 2 weeks of not driving it, the worn leather seat molding to my body like an old friend. I pause before cutting the engine, savoring the anticipation of what's to come. When I push open the front door, 3 heads swivel in unison. Naomi stands in the entryway, her expression shifting from boredom to confusion. "Where's the blue car?" she asks, her voice pitched higher than normal. My parents exchange quick glances, the kind they've perfected over 30 years of marriage. Mother touches her pearl necklace, a nervous habit she's had since I was small. Father's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "I drove my old car today," I say, hanging my jacket in the closet. The aroma of pot roast fills the house, the same Sunday dinner menu we've had since I was a child. I take my usual seat at the table, a strange serenity washing over me. For the first time in years, I feel completely in control at this table. Mother serves dinner with mechanical precision, her smile tight around the edges. No one speaks until Father clears his throat. "We've been thinking about your situation, dear," Mother says, carefully arranging her napkin across her lap. Father sets down his fork, his voice dropping into what I've always called his corporate tone, the one he uses when he believes his word is final. "Naomi needs reliable transportation for her job search. The economy is brutal right now," Naomi adds, her voice softening. "Every impression counts." I take a bite of carrots, chewing slowly. They've rehearsed this. I recognize the familiar choreography, Mother opening with apparent concern, Father delivering the verdict, Naomi following with her practiced vulnerability. "We thought perhaps you could add Naomi to your insurance," Mother continues, "just for when the car is sitting there anyway. You work from home 3 days a week," Father reminds me. "It makes sense for the family." Naomi leans forward, eyes wide and earnest. "I'll be more careful this time, I swear. That scratch was totally not my fault." I continue eating quietly, surprising myself with my appetite. The roast is perfect tonight, tender and flavorful. Mother always did know how to cook a good meal. When the plates are cleared and dessert is served, apple pie with vanilla ice cream, they're still waiting for my answer. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the soft clink of spoons against plates. Father shifts in his chair. Mother refills water glasses that don't need refilling. Naomi's foot taps a nervous rhythm under the table. I take another bite of pie, letting the sweetness linger on my tongue. For the first time all evening, I smile genuinely. That won't be possible. Mother sets down the water pitcher. What do you mean? I dab my mouth with my napkin. I don't own that car anymore. The words fall into a moment of absolute silence. Mother's hand flies to her mouth. You sold your new car already? Another impulsive decision. Father's voice rises with an edge of triumph, as if my actions have just proven everything he's ever thought about me. I shake my head once, calmly. I transferred it to my company. It's a corporate asset now. The silence that follows feels thick enough to touch. You can't just do that. Naomi's voice cracks like a teenager's, her composure shattering. Father leans forward, his authority diminishing with each word. What exactly does that mean? Explain yourself. Mother's eyes fill with tears, a familiar tactic that once would have filled me with immediate guilt. We were only trying to help everyone in the family. I reach into my purse and withdraw a folder, placing it on the table between us. It means the car belongs to Philips Technology Solutions now. I use it exclusively for client meetings and business purposes. I open the folder, revealing the corporate paperwork with signatures and official seals. It's already done. Naomi snatches up the papers, scanning them with growing disbelief. This isn't fair. You did this on purpose. Yes, I admit, feeling strangely light. I did. Can they just take your car? Mother asks, looking between Father and me. They didn't take it. I propose the arrangement. I gently retrieve the papers from Naomi's hands. The company pays for the insurance, maintenance, and even the repairs for that scratch. In return, I use it only for work purposes. Father's face reddens. You've always been difficult, but this is beyond. Beyond what? I ask softly. Beyond protecting something I worked hard for? Beyond ensuring it's respected? The silence that follows feels different from any we've shared before. For once, I'm not waiting for their approval or dreading their disappointment. I'm simply present, comfortable in the decision I've made. I close the folder with a soft finality that speaks louder than words. Father's face reddens like a summer sunset. The paperwork I've placed on the dining table might as well be written in ancient Sanskrit for all the comprehension flickering in his eyes. He opens his mouth, closes it, then tries again. You can't just. His voice trails off as reality settles in. This is absurd. Mother reaches across the table, her manicured fingers stopping just short of touching mine. Addison, after all the sacrifices we made for you, your father worked overtime for years to put you through college. I nearly laugh at the creative rewriting of history. $600 per semester. Mother, that's what you contributed. I have the bank statements. Well, we would have done more if we could, she insists, her voice taking on that wounded tone that once would have sent me scrambling to apologize. Naomi shoves her chair back with enough force to rattle the crystal. You've always been selfish, always keeping score, always holding on to things. Would you like me to keep score now? My voice remains steady, surprising even myself. The textbooks I bought you for 3 semesters before you dropped out of business school. The rent I covered when you were between opportunities last year. The security deposit on your apartment that you never paid back. The room falls silent, except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. You had opportunities I never got, Naomi says finally, but her voice lacks conviction. 5 jobs in 2 years, Naomi. I kept track. Not because I wanted to hold it against you, but because I kept hoping one would stick. I turned to my parents. And you two enabled every failure. Every time she quit because a manager was mean, or the hours were too demanding, you comforted her instead of encouraging perseverance. Mother's lips press into a thin line. Not everyone is built like you, Addison. No, but everyone deserves the chance to build themselves. You never gave her that chance. Father recovers enough to seize control. This isn't about Naomi's employment history. It's about patterns, I counter. The pattern where I work and Naomi takes. The pattern where my achievements become family property, while my struggles remain solo journeys. I stand up, feeling oddly calm despite the hurricane of emotions swirling inside me. This car was my achievement, earned through years of hard work. 18 months of preparation for that contract. Nights and weekends sacrificed. 3 competing firms trying to undercut me at every turn. I tap the company paperwork. Now the vehicle belongs to my company. It's used exclusively for client meetings and business purposes. The corporate logo will be added next week, and the company insurance took effect yesterday. I look directly at Naomi. Even if I wanted to let you drive it now, I legally cannot. It's not mine to lend. Father's face darkens as he processes the finality of my solution. If this is how you treat family, perhaps you should reconsider your place in this family's future. The threat hangs in the air, its meaning clear. You're threatening to cut me out of the will? I ask, more curious than concerned. Your behavior suggests an unhealthy attachment to material things. Mother interjects, her therapist voice emerging. Perhaps you should talk to someone about that. Naomi's eyes fill with tears, whether genuine or tactical I can no longer tell. You've betrayed all of us, after everything we've done for you. The accusation that once would have devastated me now glances off like rain on a windshield. I've already received my inheritance. I say gently. You taught me to work hard, to persist when things get difficult, to stand on my own 2 feet. That lesson is worth more than anything in your estate. Father flinches as if I've slapped him. For the first time in my adult life, I see uncertainty in his eyes. I gather my purse and car keys from the sideboard, movements deliberate and unhurried. There's no anger driving me now, just clarity. I love you all. I say, meaning it despite everything. But love has boundaries. Love respects. Love doesn't take without asking. So that's it? You're just walking away? Naomi demands. I'm driving away in my old SUV, toward the life I've built. You're welcome in that life, but only if you can respect its boundaries. Mother starts to speak, but father quiets her with a hand on her arm. Something in his expression has shifted, though I'm not naive enough to mistake it for understanding. Love doesn't take, it respects. I say it one more time, the words filling the room. Then I walk out the front door, the weight of expectation falling away with each step. The engine of my practical, paid-off SUV turns over with a familiar rumble. As I pull away from the curb, I catch a glimpse of them watching from the window, 3 figures frozen in tableau, suddenly uncertain of the script. For the first time in 32 years, I'm writing my own. Morning sun catches the edge of my new executive vice president nameplate as I arrange the framed photo on my desk. 6 months since that Sunday dinner, and the world has rearranged itself around the word no, I finally learned to say. Through my office window, I spot the midnight blue sedan in the company parking lot, now emblazoned with our logo and featured prominently in our spring marketing campaign. The scratch has long since vanished, erased like old habits. Still admiring your handiwork? My assistant pokes her head in, gesturing toward the bulletin board where my promotion announcement hangs. The quarterly reports are ready whenever you are. I nod, running my finger along the silver frame holding a photo of me beside the car, surrounded by clients after closing the Henderson deal. Just thinking about distance traveled. Later, steam rises between Linda and me at our weekly coffee meetup. She stirs her latte, careful not to disturb the foam art. So, your mom texted again? Just checking in. No guilt trips this time. I sip from my mug, no longer bracing for the familiar tension her name once triggered. Baby steps. And your dad? Radio silence mostly, but he signed the Christmas card himself instead of letting mom handle it. Progress, I guess. Linda squeezes my hand. Small victories. Jenna told me Naomi finally stuck with a job past the 90-day mark. The words emerge without their usual bitter aftertaste. Some tech startup downtown. Good for her, Linda says, watching my face for signs of the old hurt. I shrug. Mom asked if we could have dinner, just the 2 of us. I'm considering it. The evening brings warmth and laughter to my apartment as colleagues gather around my dining table. Crystal glasses clink against china plates I bought myself last month. No heirlooms, no history, just mine. To the new product line, Jessica raises her glass, and to Addison, who somehow convinced that dinosaur of a CFO to invest in innovation. Conversation flows easily, without the undercurrents I grew up navigating. When someone asks about my family, I find myself answering honestly. We're finding new ways to connect, on my terms this time. The following Tuesday, Sarah hovers in my doorway, her expression mirroring my younger self. They're saying I don't have enough experience for the Portland presentation. I motion her inside. Close the door. But I developed the entire proposal. She says, voice strained. Your achievements belong to you, I tell her, remembering every stolen credit, every dismissed accomplishment. Never apologize for that. When she leaves, I draft a company-wide memo proposing our new achievement recognition program. My fingers tap against keys, building something that matters. The sunset paints Denver's skyline orange and gold as I drive the company car toward the Westfield meeting. In the rearview mirror, I catch glimpses of who I was 6 months ago. Hunched shoulders, careful words, always yielding. The steering wheel feels solid beneath my hands. The leather seats still smell faintly new, despite countless client meetings and company functions. The passenger door gleams flawlessly in the fading light. I slow at a red light, watching pedestrians cross a woman about my age, laughing into her phone, an older man with a briefcase, 2 teenagers sharing earbuds, all of them unaware how something breaks in men's at once. Success isn't what you own, I realize, accelerating as the light changes. It's owning your boundaries. Some prices are too high even for family, but some lessons are worth every penny. The crystal champagne flute trembles in my hand as I stand frozen in the country club's sunlit ballroom. Around me, chattering guests admire the elaborate decorations, silver and pink balloons bobbing against the coffered ceiling, fresh peonies spilling from mercury glass vases, delicate butterfly confetti scattered across crisp white tablecloths. Every detail is perfect, just as I planned, just as I paid for. Courtney's voice slices through the pleasant hum of conversation like a blade. Isn't it sad, planning a baby shower when you can't even have kids yourself? The words hit me in the stomach. My gaze snaps to my sister Brianna, standing next to Courtney in her flowing maternity dress, her hand resting on her swollen belly. Surely now she'll say something. Defend me. Tell her best friend to stop. But Brianna just looks down at her phone, thumb scrolling, as if she hasn't heard a thing. 5 years of trying, 1 miscarriage, and now, 3 months of secret hope, all reduced to a cruel joke in front of 50 guests. My chest constricts as I set down my glass, careful not to let it clatter against the table. Drawing a steadying breath, I turn and walk toward the ladies' room, keeping my spine straight, my steps measured. The weight of stairs presses against my back. Inside the restroom, I grip the marble counter, avoiding my reflection in the gilt-edged mirror. The check I wrote last week flashes through my mind, $2,250 for the venue, catering, and decorations. Not counting the additional $950 for the custom cake and party favors. The numbers swim before my eyes as I splash cold water on my face. My phone buzzes, a text from Mark. Everything okay? You've been gone a while. Water drips down my chin as I stare at his message. My sweet, protective husband, who wanted to say no when I insisted on hosting this shower. Who almost spilled our precious secret last week in the living room as we discussed the expenses. Not yet, I had whispered then, pressing my fingers to his lips. Not until we're past the 3-month mark. Now I square my shoulders, straightening the pale pink sheath dress I chose so carefully for today. I know what I have to do. When I return to the ballroom, Brianna stands with Courtney near the gift table, both of them laughing. The sound grates against my nerves as I approach. Oh, there you are. Brianna's voice drips with false brightness. We're about to start the games. We need to talk. My words come out quiet but firm. Brianna's smile slips. Can't it wait? We have guests. No, I meet her eyes. It can't. If this is about what Courtney said. Brianna rolls her eyes. She was just joking. Stop being so dramatic. The familiar dismissal. The same tone she's used since we were children, minimizing every hurt, every slight, making me the unreasonable one. I've always supported you. My voice remains steady even as tears burn behind my eyes. Every milestone, every celebration, even when it hurt. You couldn't do the same for me. Not once. Conversations around us fade to silence. Guests pretend to study their phones or the decorations while stealing glances at our confrontation. Ellen, Brianna starts, a warning in her tone. I'm done. The words fall between us like stones. Final, irreversible. I turn and walk away as she calls after me, her voice rising with indignation. Ellen, don't you dare walk out. Ellen. The valet brings my car quickly, perhaps sensing my urgency. As I slide behind the wheel, the tears finally break free. Through the blur, I see Mark hurrying from the building, worry etched on his face. He climbs into the passenger seat without a word. My phone lights up with incoming texts. Brianna, Mom, even Courtney. With trembling fingers, I silence it, then drop it into the console. In the rearview mirror, the country club grows smaller, its elegant facade shrinking until it disappears around a bend, just like the illusion that my sister ever truly cared about my feelings. Mark's hand covers mine on the steering wheel. Let me drive. I shake my head, gripping the wheel tighter. I need to do this myself. The late afternoon sun slants through the windshield as we head home, casting long shadows across the dashboard. Behind us lies more than just a ruined baby shower, but the moment I finally stopped accepting scraps of love from people who should have given me the whole feast. Would you have stayed at the shower or walked away? What I did next would change my family forever. The next morning, the phone buzzes against my nightstand for the 17th time since dawn. Without looking, I know it's either Brianna, Mom, or one of their reinforcements ready to explain why I'm the villain in yesterday's baby shower drama. My head throbs as I stare at the ceiling, watching morning sunlight paint shadows across the textured surface. Mark's warm hand squeezes mine. You don't have to look at any of it. But I do. 32 text messages glare back at me, each one a fresh accusation. Mom's words leap from the screen. How could you embarrass your sister like this? Not a single mention of Courtney's cruelty or Brianna's silence. My stomach churns as I scroll through the digital pile of guilt. The voicemail notification blinks. A crisp, professional voice from the catering company inquires about the remaining $900 balance. My finger hovers over the callback button before I type a simple response. Please contact Brianna, I'm no longer involved. Steam rises from the chamomile tea Mark sets beside me. The familiar scent brings back a flood of memories, always being the responsible one, the reliable sister, the family ATM. I close my eyes, remembering the day Mom convinced me to give Brianna my college fund. She needs it more than you do, Ellen. You're so good with money. You'll figure something out. And I did figure it out. 4 years of working full-time while taking night classes, sleeping 4 hours a night, eating ramen noodles to save every penny. Meanwhile, Brianna spent weekends at South Padre Island with her sorority sisters, her Instagram feed a constant reminder of my sacrifice. You're the responsible one, Mom would say whenever I questioned the fairness. Dad would bury himself deeper in his newspaper, his silence an accomplice to the family's favorite myth. Ellen can handle it. Ellen doesn't mind. Ellen will understand. The baby shower wasn't the cause. It was just the final brick in a wall built over decades. A pounding at the door shatters our 3 weeks later quiet Sunday morning. Mark touches my shoulder, but I shake my head. This needs to end. Brianna bursts past Mark, her face flushed red against her cream-colored maternity dress. You humiliated me? In front of everyone? Her voice bounces off our living room walls, disturbing the peace we've built in this home. I set down my tea with deliberate calm. The caterer needs to be paid. That's your responsibility. Brianna's hands shake as she jabs a finger toward me. You're my sister. You can't just walk out and stick me with the bill. Like you stuck me with your student loans? The words slip out before I can stop them, years of resentment crystallizing into sharp truth. That was different. Brianna's voice rises higher. Mom said a lot of things. My own voice stays quiet, steady. And I believed them all, not anymore. Mark steps between us, his shoulders squared. You need to leave now, Brianna. She blinks as if seeing him for the first time. This is between me and my sister. No, I stand, drawing strength from Mark's presence. He's right, please leave. You can't be serious. Brianna's laugh holds a note of hysteria. After everything I've put up with from you? Put up with? The words taste bitter in my mouth. Name one thing, Brianna. One sacrifice you've made for me. Her silence fills the room like smoke. Leave now, I say quietly, or I'm calling the police. Something dangerous flashes in her eyes. She stalks to the door, then turns, one hand resting on her swollen belly. You'll never meet my baby. The door slams with enough force to rattle our wedding photo off the wall. The frame hits the hardwood floor with a crack, spiderweb fissures spreading across the glass. As I bend to pick it up, the first sob escapes my throat. Mark's arms wrap around me as I sink to the floor, the broken frame clutched against my chest. Outside, Brianna's car screeches away and I catch glimpses of curious neighbors peeking through their curtains. "It's over," I whisper, but even as the words leave my lips, I know better. The text alert chimes again, Mom's name appearing on my screen like a harbinger. Brianna wasn't done yet, and neither was my mother. Through the tears, I press my hand against my own belly, where our secret still grows. 3 months and 6 days, the greatest reason of all to finally break free. At the office, one Tuesday morning, the quarterly financial reports swim before my eyes as I squint at my computer screen. 4 weeks have passed since the baby shower disaster, and I've thrown myself into work, finding comfort in the orderly rows of numbers. My hand strays to my stomach, still flat beneath my pencil skirt but holding our precious secret. The intercom crackles. "Ellen?" Jenny's voice wavers, setting off instant alarms. My usually unflappable assistant never sounds uncertain. "Your sister is here." My fingers freeze on the keyboard. Through the glass walls of my office, I spot Brianna's familiar floral maternity dress, her rounded belly preceding her as she storms past the reception desk. 2 junior analysts quickly avert their eyes, suddenly fascinated by their monitors. "Tell her I'm in a meeting." The words barely leave my mouth before Brianna's voice booms through the office. "You can't hide from me forever." She sweeps past cubicles, clients from Morton Financial watching open-mouthed from the conference room. "You owe me $3,000. Security arrives as she reaches my door, Steve from the lobby and Marcus from the 4th floor. I remember bringing them Christmas cookies last year. Now they flank my sister, their faces professionally blank. "Ma'am, you need to leave." Steve's voice carries the weight of authority. "That's my sister in there." Brianna jabs a finger toward my office. "She ruined my baby shower and stuck me with the bill." The walls of my corporate sanctuary crumble as her accusations echo. Years of careful reputation building, countless late nights proving myself, all threatened by this spectacle. My hands tremble as I gather my purse and keys. "You have exactly 30 seconds to exit the building," Marcus warns her, "or we'll escort you out." 4 hours later, I slip through the side door of my office, taking the back route to the parking garage as Brianna's protests fade behind me. In my car, the leather seats cradle me as I slump forward, hands instinctively cupping my belly. My phone calendar glows on the dash display. Ultrasound, 2:30 p.m., just 4 hours away. Tears blur my vision as I whisper to the tiny life inside me. "No one will hurt you like they hurt me. Never." 10 minutes later, the passenger door opens and Mark slides in, his tie loosened, worry etching lines around his mouth. "Jenny called me." "I can't do this anymore." The words fall like stones between us. I thought I could maintain boundaries, keep some kind of relationship, but they'll never stop. My phone buzzes with a voicemail from Mom. I play it on speaker. Margaret's voice filling the car. "I raised you better than this. Causing a scene at your sister's baby shower wasn't enough. Now you're humiliating her in public?" Before I can respond, a text from Dad appears. "Your mother is very upset. Can't you just pay it? For peace in the family?" An email notification pops up next, Courtney's name making my jaw clench. "Sorry if you were offended by what I said at the shower. You're being way too sensitive about this whole thing." Mark reaches for my phone, but I beat him to it, blocking each number with quick, decisive taps. A weight lifts with each press of the button. A knock on my window makes me jump. Janet from accounting stands there holding 2 paper cups, concern softening her features. When I roll down the window, steam carrying the scent of chamomile wafts in. "I thought you might need this." She hands me a cup. "I watched my sister try to destroy my career when I wouldn't give her $10,000 for her business scheme." Sometimes family is just a word. It's the people who actually support you that matter. As if summoned by her words, my phone lights up with a text from Mark's parents. "We're here for both of you. Always. Love, Mom and Dad S." That evening, Dr. Matthews adjusts her glasses as she reviews my file. "The stress levels you're describing concern me. Have you considered speaking with someone about this family situation?" I smooth my shirt over my belly. I started seeing a therapist last week. She's helping me see the pattern, how they've always used money and guilt to control me. Good. She makes a note in my chart. Because what I'm about to show you needs to be a happy moment. The ultrasound screen flickers to life. A rapid whooshing fills the room, our baby's heartbeat, strong and steady. Mark's hand finds mine as a tiny form appears, arms and legs clearly visible now. Everything looks perfect, the technician smiles. Would you like to know the gender? Tears spill down my cheeks, but they're different from the ones I shed in my car this morning. Mark kisses my forehead, his own eyes glistening. This is our family now. I watch our baby shift and stretch on the screen, already showing signs of the person they'll become. The person I'll protect with everything I have. I'm going full no contact with all of them. I tell Mark as we walk to our car afterward, the ultrasound photos clutched to my chest. No more chances, no more manipulation. Our baby deserves better than that toxic legacy. He pulls me close, one hand resting protectively over mine on my stomach. What I need, we're in this together. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of pink and gold, a beautiful ending to an ugly day. But as we drive home, my phone lights up with a number I don't recognize. My mother's voice fills our voicemail, and I realize with a sinking heart that the most painful betrayal was still to come. Next week, Tuesday, the security camera arrives in a plain brown box. Mark turns it over in his hands while I review the installation instructions, both of us sitting at our kitchen table in the gray morning light. 5 weeks since the baby shower disaster, and still the emails pour in, the texts multiply, the voicemails stack up. Should be simple enough to mount, he says, reaching for his coffee. I'll put it up this afternoon. My fingers trace the smooth edge of the instruction manual. I never thought I'd need cameras to protect myself from my own sister. The words hang between us, heavy with the weight of what Brianna's impromptu visit last week forced us to do. The memory of her pushing past Mark, storming through our living room, screaming about the unpaid catering bill, floods back. Even now, my shoulders tighten at the thought of her rage-twisted face. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mom, which I delete without reading. The growing baby inside me responds with a flutter, as if sensing my stress. I rest my hand on my stomach, still flat enough to hide our secret. I spoke with HR yesterday, I tell Mark. They're updating security protocols, no visitors without advance approval. He nods, jaw tight. We both remember last week Brianna bursting into my office, making a scene in front of clients, security having to escort her out. My cheeks still burn when I think about explaining to my boss. The cease and desist letter sits on our counter, ready to be mailed. The attorney's firm letterhead catches the morning light. No further contact. No attempts to visit my home or workplace. No contact through third parties. Each line was carefully crafted to build a wall between me and the family who never protected me. We should document everything, Mark says, pulling out his laptop. Every call, every text, every attempt to contact you. Build a paper trail. I watch him create a spreadsheet, methodically entering dates and times. My practical, protective husband, the man who held me through tears when I discovered the truth about my inheritance. The doorbell rings. We both freeze. Mark moves first, checking the front window. It's your mother. My heart pounds as I peek through the curtains. Mom stands on our porch, clutching her designer purse, wearing the floral dress she saves for guilt trips. When she spots me, she waves, lips curved in a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Ellen, sweetheart, I know you're home. I just want to talk. I step back from the window, hands trembling. I can't do this today. You don't have to, Mark says. His voice carries the quiet strength I've come to rely on. We have a plan, remember? I nod, moving away from the door as Mom's knocking grows more insistent. Mark documents the time and date in his spreadsheet while I retreat to our bedroom. Through the wall, I hear Mom's voice rising, threatening to call the police herself if we don't open up. My phone rings the doctor's office. My afternoon appointment. Mom's voice fades as I confirm the time, clutching the phone like a lifeline. She left and I took my stuff, so we went to see the doctor. Later, in the sterile calm of the medical waiting room, I let myself breathe. Safe space. Just me, my baby, and the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Until Mom's voice slices through the peace. Ellen, thank goodness I caught you. My head snaps up. She stands in the doorway, face flushed with triumph. Other patients look up from their magazines, curious about the disruption. Ma'am, you can't be here. My doctor's voice, firm and professional, cuts through the tension. This is a private medical facility. Mom's eyes fill with tears, always her favorite weapon. I just want to talk to my daughter, Ellen, please. The nurse touches my arm. Dr. Williams says you can use the back exit. Follow me. As I hurry through the staff area, Mom's sobs echo behind me. I'm your mother. You can't shut me out. But I can. I will. That evening, I sat at our dining room table, surrounding myself with bank statements and old financial records. The truth emerges in stark black and white: $47,000 borrowed from my inheritance when I was in college. Money that funded Brianna's spring break trips, her first car, her endless shopping sprees. Mark's hands clench when he sees the total. They've been using you your entire life. The realization settles like ice in my stomach. Every sacrifice, every loan, every expectation that I would give and give while Brianna took it all traces back to this fundamental betrayal. My attorney answers on the second ring. Sandra, I need your help protecting what's mine. The next morning, I mail 2 letters. The first, a formal demand for repayment of my inheritance. The second, notice of a restraining order against Brianna. Dad calls within the hour, his voice shaking. We can't possibly pay that now, Ellen, you know that. Then we'll let the courts decide. Your mother is beside herself. How could you do this to us? The old guilt rises, but I push it down. How could you steal from your own daughter? Silence stretches between us, then, you would bankrupt your own parents? You made your choice years ago, Dad. Now I'm making mine. I hang up as tears spill down my cheeks. Mark wraps his arms around me and I lean into his strength. 3 days later, an email arrives from Courtney. A formal apology carefully worded by her lawyer. Brianna texts an hour later, suddenly sweet, talking about family healing and moving forward together. Mom and Dad's tone shifts too. No more demands or guilt trips. Their messages turn cautious, respectful. They know I have proof of their financial manipulation. No, I'm not afraid to use it. But as I file away Courtney's apology and block Brianna's number, I smile. They have no idea what's coming next. No idea that in 6 months they'll learn about their grandchild through a Facebook post. No idea that their actions today have sealed their fate. I rest my hand on my growing belly, feeling stronger with each kick against my palm. We're going to break this cycle. I whisper to my baby. You'll never know what it's like to be used by the people who should love you most. Mark's hand covers mine. Ready to set up those atonal cameras? I nod, standing straighter. Ready for everything. 6 months later, the morning light streams through our nursery's bay window, casting golden patterns across the buttercup yellow walls. 6 months have passed since that day at the country club. 6 months of blessed, quiet, broken only by the gentle swish of paint rollers and the soft discussions of nursery furniture placement. Mark stands beside me now, his phone ready as I position myself in the window seat, our daughter's tiny fingers wrapped around mine. Perfect, he whispers, capturing the moment. Just her small hand, pink and new, curled trustingly around my index finger. Nothing else needed. I type the caption with one hand. Charlotte Rose, 7 pounds 4 ounces, perfectly healthy. My thumb hovers over the post button for just a moment before pressing down. The social media announcement drops into the world like a pebble into still water. The ripples start immediately. My phone buzzes against the windowsill, once, twice, then a cascade of notifications that sound like angry bees. Mark reaches over and silences it, but not before I catch a glimpse of Brianna's name from a number I don't recognize. You stole my special time. The words flash across my screen in all caps. I can almost hear her voice, shrill with indignation, as if she still stands in that sunlit country club room. Mark reads over my shoulder as more messages pour in. An email from Mom appears with grandmother rights in the subject line, followed by a wall of text about legal obligations and family duties. Dad's voicemail notification pops up next. Play it, I tell Mark. He puts it on the speaker. We had to find out from Facebook? Dad's voice carries that familiar, disappointed tone, the same one he used when I refused to give Brianna my car after college. Ellen, this isn't how the family behaves. I pick up Charlotte from her bassinet, breathing in her sweet powder scent. Read them all, I say to Mark. My voice stays steady, the same way it did that day at the shower when I finally said enough. He scrolls through each message, and after reading them aloud, deletes them one by one. They don't deserve you, he says quietly. Either of you. 4 days later, I came home, the same day the doorbell rings. Through the front window, I see Dad standing on our porch. He clutches a stuffed bear in one hand, its price tag still dangling from its ear. The sight sends an unexpected pang through my chest, not of longing, but of something closer to pity. I'll take Charlotte, Mark offers, but I shake my head. She stays with me. I grab the baby monitor anyway, a habit now ingrained, and step onto the porch. The October air carries a hint of wood smoke from somewhere in the neighborhood. Ellen. Dad's voice cracks a little. The bear dangles forgotten at his side. Your mother is heartbroken. I lean against the doorframe, studying his face. The lines around his mouth have deepened since I last saw him. Did you ever ask what Courtney said to me that day? He shifts his weight, eyes dropping to the welcome mat. Did you ever once stand up for me, Dad? Even once? The silence stretches between us like a physical thing. A car passes on our quiet street. Someone walks their dog across the way, waving cheerfully. I don't wave back. Your mother won't accept this, he finally says, his voice small. You have a choice. The words come out clear and firm, carried on the crisp autumn air. Either you respect my boundaries, all of them, or you don't see us at all. No more showing up unannounced. No more guilt trips. No more letting Mom or Brianna use you as their messenger. He clutches the bear tighter, its fuzzy head twisted in his grip. Ellen, please, we're family. That's right, we are. And family should protect each other, not tear each other down. I straighten up, my hand on the door handle. Those are my terms, Dad. The choice is yours. Your mother won't, he starts again. That's her choice, I cut in, just as this is mine. He looks at me for a long moment, this man who taught me to ride a bike but never taught me to stand up for myself. Finally, he sets the bear down on the porch step and turns away. His footsteps echo against the concrete, growing fainter until I hear his car door slam. Inside, Mark sits in the living room rocking chair, Charlotte asleep against his chest. You okay? He asks softly. I pick up the bear from the porch, brush off its fur, and set it on the entry table. A smile spreads across my face, genuine and free. For the first time in my life, I tell him, I truly am. Charlotte stirs in her sleep, making those tiny bird sounds that fill my heart. Mark's arms tighten around her protectively as I settle onto the couch beside them. Outside, the autumn wind whispers through our garden, where next spring's bulbs lie waiting beneath the soil. Like those dormant flowers, our story isn't over, it's just beginning. A year later, the morning sun filters through the paper lanterns strung across our backyard, casting rainbow patterns on Charlotte's curls as she toddles toward the flower beds. Our guests laugh and chat around tables decorated with fresh-cut roses from my Gardeno Country Club formality here, just genuine warmth and joy. Go on, sweetie, show Grandma Carol how you smell the flowers. I guide Charlotte's tiny hand toward a fragrant bloom. Mark's mother kneels beside us, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight as she helps steady Charlotte's first wobbly steps. Just like that, Carol coos, gentle now. Her eyes meet mine, filled with the pure love I never saw in Margaret's gaze. Charlotte scrunches her nose and lets out a delighted giggle as she bends toward the rose. The sound of car doors slamming draws my attention to the driveway where Janet and her husband arrive carrying a wrapped package. She waves, weaving between the scattered lawn chairs where our chosen family gathers to celebrate Charlotte's first birthday. No crystal champagne flutes or printed place cards, just paper plates, homemade cake, and people who love us exactly as we are. You've outdone yourself, Janet says, surveying the casual spread. Though I suspect this party cost a fraction of that other one. She squeezes my arm, understanding in her eyes. I shake my head, smiling, and worth every penny more. The morning mail sits unopened on the kitchen counter where Mark left it, except for one small package he placed apart from the rest. No return address, just my name in familiar handwriting. Inside, I found a vintage silver baby spoon, delicate scrollwork etched along its handle. The note beneath read simply, I was wrong. I'm sorry. When you're ready, I'd like to meet my granddaughter. Love, Dad. No manipulation, no guilt, just 9 words that acknowledge what I've known all along. I tucked both items into Charlotte's memory box next to her hospital bracelet and first curl. Someday we'll decide. I whispered to her sleeping form. When you're old enough to understand why boundaries matter more than blood. The party flows around us like a gentle stream. Mark grills burgers while his father entertains Charlotte with funny faces. My friend Susan's twins push her on the baby swing we installed last month. This is what family should feel like: easy laughter, steady support, love without conditions. Later, as the afternoon mellows into evening, I carry Charlotte to her favorite spot in the garden. See the butterfly? I point to a monarch landing on the purple coneflowers. They're free to fly wherever they choose, just like you'll be. The memory of that baby shower confrontation feels distant now, like watching a storm through thick glass. The lightning still flashes, but it can't touch us anymore. We settled the financial mess through attorneys, no direct contact needed. The money meant nothing compared to the peace we found. Mark joins us, his arm sliding around my waist. The setting sun paints the garden in soft gold as our remaining guests help clean up, everyone pitching in without being asked. This is the legacy I choose for Charlotte: people who show up, who stay, who lift each other up without keeping score. Later that night, after the house falls quiet, I set up my phone in the nursery. Charlotte sleeps peacefully in her crib, unaware that I'm recording a message for her future self. My darling girl, I begin, voice soft but sure. Family isn't just about shared blood, it's about the people who choose you, again and again. Who celebrate your joy without trying to dim your light. Who love you not because they have to, but because they want to. Mark appears in the doorway, drawn by my voice. He slides down to sit beside me, our shoulders touching. You'll never have to earn love, I continue, one hand drifting to rest on my stomach where another miracle grows, still too early to share. You'll never have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You are worthy exactly as you are. The moonlight streams through the window, turning Charlotte's fair hair silver. Her chest rises and falls in peaceful rhythm, small fingers curled around her favorite stuffed rabbit. My free hand finds Mark's in the darkness. Your daddy and I promise you'll grow up knowing what took me years to learn, that sometimes the greatest act of love is drawing a line in the sand and saying no more. My voice catches, but I push through. That forgiveness doesn't always mean letting people back in, that you can wish others well from a safe distance. We sit in comfortable silence after I end the recording, watching our daughter sleep. The weight of the silver spoon in her memory box feels lighter now, a reminder rather than a burden. Perhaps someday we'll build a bridge across the canyon of past hurts, or perhaps we'll simply acknowledge that some distances serve their own kind of peace. I rest my head on Mark's shoulder, breathing in the lingering scent of birthday cake and garden roses. Through the window, fireflies dance in the summer darkness, their light a reminder that beauty can emerge from the darkest spaces when given room to grow. Ready for bed? Mark whispers, helping me to my feet. I pause in the doorway, taking in the scene one last time, our daughter safe in her dreams, our love surrounding her like a fortress, our future stretching bright and boundless before us. Yes, I say, closing the door with gentle certainty. I'm ready.